Hi and welcome back to Garden Ninja. Now today's video is the second video in the Gardening Without Plastics range, and today what I'm going to be doing is showing you how I'm going to plant my herbaceous perennials in this, my brand spanking new greenhouse. So come on, let's get cracking. So you're going to need a few key bits of equipment to start growing your own. Now I'm in a glass house, which means I've got much more space, I've got loads of light, but one of the key things if you're going to grow in a greenhouse that I always recommend is just over there, which is a thermometer. Now I've got one that tells me both the maximum temperature and the minimum, so I can work out roughly, with say a week's worth of readings, what the average temperature is. And different seeds germinate at different temperatures, so that's really important. You're also going to need some form of a seed tray or maybe an egg box, which this part here you can use as a seed tray for either sowing in drills or broadcast scattering until the seeds germinate. So you grow them in this or this usually, and then when they get to a certain size you then do a thing called thinning them out and then pricking them out, and we'll come on to that as we do it. You're going to need a way to get compost, seed compost preferably, into your seed trays, so I use one of these metal sort of sweet scoops. You're going to need some way to label your plants. I prefer to use wooden lolly sticks because they biodegrade and they're just much nicer than plastic. And then you're going to also need, oh here we go, what I call the block. Now this is my tamper, so once you've filled your seed tray with compost, you're going to have to push it down and compact it slightly to get rid of any air gaps or crevices where seeds may fall and never germinate. You're then also going to need somewhere else to pot them onto, so I've got a selection of little pots here, but again I'll come on to that once they germinate. But that's your basic equipment along with seed compost. Now another tip, if you're going to use wooden seed trays like me, what you often need to do is to fill them, tamper them with your wood block in my case, and then you submerge them in a shallow pool of water like a tray to then soak up moisture, and that's the easiest way to water them before you put your seeds on. However, what you'll find with the wooden trays is that there's quite a few gaps and the soil can spill out and it gets a bit messy. So my top tip, using a piece of bog standard newspaper, is to place the newspaper in the seed tray before you put your growing medium such as seed compost in there, and it just acts as a little barrier to stop all the water leaving, any of the compost spilling out, and I find it does help retain moisture a little bit more, and it also makes cleaning at the end of the season really easy. Now if you're not using wooden seed trays for your Gardening Without Plastic challenge, you can use one of these, an egg box. So if you eat eggs, you'll see these. You may know people that have a load spare. They biodegrade, they're made of recycled cardboard already, so it's kind of like the second set of recycling. And again, it's really straightforward. You're going to get your seed compost. I tend to use the flat side. Unless I've got large seeds, I don't use that side until I'm ready to prick out the seedlings. So with this large side, put a small amount of seed compost in. Don't need a huge amount. I mean, these are going to be tiny plants. You literally want enough so that it will hold on to moisture and allow the seeds to germinate. So, slightly different technique. I use the end of this tamping block. Just tamp that down ever so slightly, just so it's consistent. It doesn't need to be perfect. And then you can sow into this part here. So I'm going to be sowing some Monarda seeds in these two trays made of egg boxes. Now I absolutely love Monarda. It smells of Earl Grey tea, it's bright red, they're an amazing herbaceous perennial and they're going to look fantastic in the exposed nestling garden. So I'm going to sow these into these two egg boxes as the trial to see how they get on. Now one other thing I'm going to try and use is one of these cardboard tissue boxes. So I'm going to take a pair of scissors and literally cut halfway round, so I don't need it to be that deep. Now you may have noticed that when I've cut through, these ends are kind of splayed open because there's not enough glue to hold them together. But rather than using sellotape or glue, I'm just going to use 4 metal paper clips that can be recycled far easier than sellotape and just pin the corners. Now, don't forget, you don't need anything that's going to survive the apocalypse. All these 3 seed trays are doing is providing conditions to germinate the seeds. So I've got my damp seed bed here, and I've got these Helenium seeds. Now you can put them into your hands and sprinkle them. I tend to just use the packet and tap them out. So you might start to see these now. Yeah, there they go. I'm just going to sow these as evenly as I can across the surface. You don't have to be too particular, because they probably won't all germinate. So here we have a scoopful of vermiculite. Now vermiculite is just a mineral that's been heated up to a super high temperature. Now the benefit with vermiculite is that what we're going to do is sprinkle it all over these Helenium seeds, but it will allow light through. So it's super light, it lets light through, and it retains moisture really well. So it's great for seeds that need light and moisture. And I'm going to pop these down on my staging. There's loads of light, and I'm going to put the name tag in there. So these Monarda are going onto this little oven tray here, and that will mean I can water them from the bottom. So there they go, they fit on nicely, and they should help support each other, because the issue that you're going to have with egg boxes and cardboard is over time they will degrade and they do tend to surprise open. So if you put them together, that kind of reduces some of that. There's loads of different containers that you can use, but because I'm gardening without plastic this year, I'm going to use an egg box and put a seed, pop, 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 into each one of those little nodules. I'm also going to use these recycled fibre pots, just put one in each. I'm going to use the trusted bob roll method, which I'll show you in a second, how to turn those into pots. And then also one of these little clear dinky pots there, and I'm going to put them onto a metal oven tray so that I can water them from below and the water will seep up, and it also will keep them in one space. Now for the toilet roll method, you take a clean spent toilet roll like this, and you're literally going to push the bottom in like so. It's dead easy, it doesn't have to be perfect. Stick your finger down there, and in theory you've got yourself a little pot. Filling these couldn't be easier. Literally take your little bob roll pot, scoop up some compost. There's no point using the big scoop for this one. So take them, use your fingers, just give it a little poke down, top it up again, make sure it's just below the surface. And that there is done. So I'm going to pop each of these individual pots on this oven tray, which will act as a little reservoir, so I can either water this and it'll soak up and imbue into the soil, or I can water from the top, and it does depend on the seeds which method you choose. So I'm just going to lay these out, fill the tray, and then I'll water. So the one niggle that you're going to have with the toilet roll method though is keeping them upright. Now you can lay them out in tissue boxes stood upright and cram them in, or you can put them into egg trays. What I've done is I've just surrounded them with another number of small heavier pots that will keep them there. But the whole purpose of this is to try out these different methods and to show you what works and the drawbacks and the benefits. So we're going to crack on now and get these seeded. So whilst these are probably not the prettiest compared to the nice wooden seed trays, they are relatively low cost. So I've watered them, I'm going to pop them on the shelf there, making sure they get full sunlight, but I need to label them. If you look down here, you'll see a small collection of my terracotta pots, and I reuse these every year. I plant seedlings into them, cuttings, bulbs, and bring them on in the glasshouse before moving them outside. Now they are expensive, but they do last for years if you look after them. They're breathable, which none of the plastic pots are, which means that the roots can get access to air a lot faster than in plastic pots. So I'll also be showing you how to use those as we go along. The seeds have all now been sown, whether that be in trays or in modular pots, all without plastic, which is really exciting. So they've all been laid out here, they're in the greenhouse. I'm going to be monitoring the temperature to make sure that they germinate. So if you've liked this video, why not subscribe to my YouTube channel, where there are going to be loads more garden design hints, tips and hacks. If you're really interested in the plastic-free journey that I'm on, why not subscribe to the playlist Plastic Free Gardening. I've been Garden Ninja, I'm going in for a cup of coffee. Happy gardening.